glad to join me. I've got one of my all-time favorite guests on again, and I'm not going to tell you who she is. So if you don't follow the Christine Upchurch show on Facebook and watch the postings, or if you don't read your Transformation Talk Radio weekly newsletter, you can see in the dark for 2 more minutes, because I'm going to first say hello to Christine Upchurch. Hi, Danny.
Hi, Christine. Yeah, I'm sure a veteran that we have back, so, I mean, yes, cannot say that right now. You can't.
No. And you know, I love the fact that she's got the scientific background, the artistic background, and she's an expert in so many areas that it's fascinating to talk to her. And we're going to be having a conversation with different sorts today, so I'm really excited.
Where the winding road will take us.
Yes. And the person I'm talking about is Leanne Venier. She is an international award-winning artist, engineer, get that, artist and engineer, an expert in the field of the science of color and light. She lectures at major medical centers, Dispenza, and other places. She combines her art with her past careers in combination as a mechanical engineer and acupuncturist. She teaches medical doctors, executives, and lay people alike about the latest scientific research for optimizing health, creativity, and productivity using color, light, art, and flow state, which is the topic today. I'd like to welcome our guest today, Leanne Venier. Hi, Leanne.
Hi, Christine. Thanks for having me. I'm really excited to be here again.
It's always great to have you because, you know, the thing I really appreciate about you is you've used like every corner of your brain in various ways. You're not like right-brained or left-brained. You've done it all.
Yeah.
Can you share with our listeners a little bit about your journey and how you've come to the realization about flow state, and then we'll get into what flow state is.
Oh, okay. You want the Reader's Digest condensed version? Okay, basically, my background in little sound bites is I went from being a very left-brained mechanical engineer, not very happy, not feeling particularly fulfilled, having a lot of left-brain logical linear activity in my brain, just kind of because of the nature of that type of job and career, to transitioning dramatically over a number of years, and then I finally became a full-time professional artist 8 years ago. Fully integrating the right side of my brain, and then started teaching about all of the science of color and light at major medical centers, teaching medical doctors, that sort of thing, where then I started bringing in the left brain, which is actually where I feel most satisfied when I'm using both sides of the brain, the left and the right, and that's true for most people. So then I started bringing in all the scientific research and using my left brain together with my right brain and finding that you can get into flow state, which is this optimal state of consciousness, and apply it in all of your left brain activities, so business, whatever you're doing.
Wow. So, you know, I have my own personal concept of flow. How do you define flow state?
Okay, well, the term flow is kind of a relatively new term. A lot of people know it as the zone, the groove, if you're a musician. There are all sorts of different names for it. It's basically an optimal state of consciousness where you feel and you perform your best. You lose all sense of time and you have this sort of laser focus. You can power through whatever you're doing. You have all this clarity about what you're doing. You get all these insights. They just seem to come from nowhere. And you have an unlimited source of energy that you tap into. And the feeling is this feeling of transcendence. It's like total bliss when you're in that zone and you're channeling that energy.
Yeah, and I think most people can relate to that, at least a few moments in their life, if not, you know, on a regular basis.
Yeah.
Is it something that just happens to us, or can we do something to create it?
Well, I was thinking about this a couple hours ago, like what's a good analogy for how we all have this ability within ourselves? And basically, we start off in life, we come out of the womb and we basically are given this really high-performance sports car and this smooth, clear road in front of us, perfectly paved, no bumps in the road at all. So that's what we're given when we come into this world. And so we start driving down this road and we're like, oh, this is great, everything's all smooth sailing. And then we you know, get to a point where we go to kindergarten or we're given our first coloring book and the teachers start telling us, it's like, okay, well, you get to color this coloring book, but we want you to stay within the lines. Okay, don't color outside the lines. And you're like, well, but it's way more fun to color outside the lines. I want to color outside. No, 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 you have to color inside the lines. And you're like, oh, okay, if that's what it takes for me to be loved and accepted, then I guess I'll color inside the lines. So you start doing that, and then you stop following that smooth, clear road, and you start kind of going onto the gravel part of the road. And now it's a little bit, it's not quite as effortless. It's a little bumpier because you're having to exert a lot of effort to stay within those lines. Then we go to university, and we follow some path, where we're just in high school, and we're following some path or trajectory that society says, this is what you need to do to be able to earn a living, have a career, buy the stuff that you need, and, you know, basically all the things that aren't that important. So you start kind of getting...
That we get programmed by.
Yeah, exactly. So, and that takes us even further off the road. And now we're driving in a ditch next to the road. We're not even next to the road on the gravel. And we're like, God, this is like really, I'm exerting a lot of effort trying to drive through this ditch, and you can't even see the smooth road that you used to be on. It's like getting farther away from you. And then you get into your career and your job and that sort of thing. And if you don't go back onto that path, your smooth road, you go into the field. Now you're like driving through all these potholes and all this, like, and you're like, why is everything so challenging? But the focus is all. Yeah, I know, like, ah. But that smooth road is not very far away. It's like right next to us. Like, it's really, really accessible. But so many of us stay driving in this bumpy field for so long, and every once in a while we may have the experience of going back onto the smooth road when people do get into flow state naturally. And then you're like, oh my God, that felt amazing. And then you're like, yeah, but this other stuff, this bumpy stuff, is way more familiar to me. So I'm not gonna stay in this smooth road because I forget what that's like. So I'm gonna go back to this bumpy field because that's what's familiar. I've been doing it for so long. Right. Does that make sense?
And not only familiar, but it's almost like we don't trust that we can have our needs fulfilled if we stay in that flow state. Or is it too often, right?
Yeah, exactly, because we lose the ability to trust that we'll be taken care of and that we can tap into this limitless source of energy and information where all the answers are. So we always know what's best for ourselves. We always have that information within ourselves, but we often don't allow that to come to the surface.
Yeah. Well, I know that I've definitely driven not only on the gravel, bumpy road, but I've been in the ditches and the fields, and you know, I went into statistics, mathematics and statistics, and worked with a statistician for many years, and ultimately, you know, got cancer and had to shift my life in terms of realize, okay, I'm not going to heal out here in these potholes. I have to get myself back up towards that road. And it's been a great lesson, but it was a hard lesson.
Yes.
How do people shift before their life circumstances force them to do that?
Well, like you, a lot of times that's what it takes. I mean, when I had my healing practice, I was also an acupuncturist. I spent about 20 years studying all kinds of alternative healing modalities, acupuncture and shiatsu, and I was working with cancer patients. And what you would see over and over again was that people would finally get this awakening when they had some kind of life-threatening illness, or other people it would just be some kind of recurring illness or something that would kind of wake them up where they have to pay attention to it, and the pills are no longer working to suppress those symptoms. So you can have that awareness. I mean, a lot of people right now are in these jobs that they're finding unfulfilling. They're looking for ways to find fulfillment and satisfaction in their lives, but they don't realize that it just requires kind of getting back onto that smooth road and realizing that it's right there. It's really accessible. So, yeah, I mean, what I teach people is how to be able to tap into flow state whenever they want, because when you can do that on a regular basis and bring it into all areas of your life, that road, you not only get back onto that road, but the road itself recharges you. So you are driving along, you no longer have to be expending all this energy of your own. The road is giving you energy, so you're channeling this energy, your car is using the energy that's coming from the smooth road, and you just keep going and going.
Yeah, that's a great point. And we're going to need to go to a quick break, but when we come back, Leanne, I'm going to share with our listeners what steps they can take to get into that flow state, and we'll be back in a few moments.